All right, so there is this game called Knight's Path, and some of you, many of you in fact, have been asking me, hey, Metatron, could you tell us about this game? I want to say yes, yes, absolutely, totally, 100%, because you know me, I have, I do like, I have a thing or two to say about medieval stuff. I'm a little bit of a connoisseur, shall we say, a little bit of an obsessed muppet. So obsessed that, as you know, I've got helmets all over the place, helmets all over the place. Now, here's the frog mouth. We'll kind of have a whole episode without showing the frog mouth. Am I right? I do have a gaming dedicated channel, as you probably don't know, which is this one here. And this is where the channel where I'm going to review all of the material. Today we're going to check out the trailer and the controversy, because of course there is a controversy. There is always a freaking controversy. Anyways, we'll be playing the game when it's available, the demo, the stuff. If you like games, link in the description, I suppose. But for now, what we're going to do, we're going to check out the trailer 5 days ago, 439,000 views. And that, my friends, is on YouTube alone. Because if you look this one up on X, and you should totally go and follow them. I'm already following them, of course. Yeah, their trailer got 3.9 million views. So it's been received very well. Even more so because of the controversy. So not just from a technical standpoint, but also in general. As you can see, 100,000 wishlist and deserved. So what's the controversy, Metatron? Was simply that they refused to bend the knee to the modern audiences. So for that alone, go wishlist them. But for now, let's check out this trailer together. But the armor is looking really good, I'm telling you that much. Looking really good, looking really good. All right, so already a couple of things we are seeing immediately is that clearly the combat is inspired on historical European martial arts, obviously HEMA, and the armor is clearly historically accurate. I love that. The armor is based on real historical examples. That's really cool. One thing that happens oftentimes doesn't seem to happen here, because what I see is mostly it's probably 15th century, I would say, for everything I've seen so far. It looks 15th century. I've got a nice kettle hat here. I love the little male coif, of course. Let me see. Yeah, we've got all sorts, really. So I appreciate that. I always do. So I like it when the armor looks like that. Now, is this a historical game? But we did see a dragon at the very end. So I'm not 100% quite sure, but I believe the way they describe it, they say Knight's Path is a story-driven action RPG set in a grounded, low fantasy world inspired by the Holy Roman Empire. Now, what does low fantasy mean will depend on who you ask, but personally, the only two definitions that I can see when it comes to the difference between high fantasy and low fantasy, but do let me know which one is the one that you use and the one that you were aware of. The one that I use usually is that low fantasy means it's fantasy, but it's set on the earth. Instead, high fantasy is a fantasy that is set on a completely made-up world. So, Harry Potter and Conan would be low fantasy because they are set on our planet, whereas Dungeons and Dragons, for instance, is set on a completely different world. It would be high fantasy. That's the way I have always used it. But other people, I think, use low fantasy to mean that there isn't much magic, and high fantasy instead means there is a lot of magic in the world. So I'm not sure which definition they are using here, but because of the fact that they are mentioning Holy Roman Empire, it makes it sound to me that when they say low fantasy, they're really using my definition. It's in our world, but it is still fantasy, and that's why we see the dragon. Okay, so yeah, that's I love the architecture. This looks like it's ruins. Be interesting to know if there was maybe a recent war, because that's how medieval buildings look now. But in the Middle Ages, well, there might be a reason, but generally speaking, if you really think about it, if you're running into ruins and you are in the Middle Ages, they would be Roman or ancient Greek. Do you know what I mean? But then again, because medieval stuff would be modern. With that being said, maybe this has been destroyed. Maybe there was a war. There might be a reason into it. Maybe who knows? I mean, lots of different possibilities. What else can we say? I love generally speaking the architecture. And in fact, the buildings look quite nice. And what is it? The combat looks fantastic. And this guy's armor, his harness is phenomenal. I freaking love it. I love it. In fact, I do see why. There is the shot where he's walking up the road in the armor. You can see from the back. It's fantastic. Now, one thing that I would tell because I see that there are different possible finish qualities. So this is kind of a blackened suit, and maybe they'll have blued suits. Yeah, this is the shot. I love the shot. This is probably the best shot. I love that the visor can be lifted. I wonder if there is an option for a first person. I'm not saying necessarily in combat, but maybe for exploration first person. That would be really nice. That's one thing I really love about, for instance, Conan Exile. It's a third person game, but you can switch into first person if you want to explore and have a little bit more immersion in some sections. I don't know how much extra coding that would involve, but I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. I think it would be really cool because you want a game like this to put so much effort into the equipment, to show that equipment. So I understand the choice to choose to go for third person. You get to see the armor, you get to see all the stuff, but sometimes for exploration purposes, I think a first person optional would be pretty cool. As I say, a lot of real inspired kits, which is fantastic. That's always something I love to see. We always love to see it. And in general, I love the moving. I love the moves, the combat. It's clearly pre-alpha. So I imagine they're going to work on more shaders. They're going to work on perhaps better textures in some areas. But I am really, really excited. Some of the sets may seem to be a little bit more of a late 14th, but this happens a lot in games. Sometimes there is a little bit of mixing. But then again, it's not like the armor was always completely... Not everyone could always afford in the real Middle Ages the latest tech, right? So if you inherited a helmet from your grandfather and that's what you can afford, that's what you're going to wear. So it is what it is. There are some battles, like I think the Battle of Wisby was one where they found kit that was like 80 years old for that period. So it's not impossible. But then again, there are some games and movies that sometimes stretch this too much. So like you have 12th century kits right next to 16th century kits. That's a little too much. But I think maybe a space of up to 80 years, 100 years is not completely unseen. And in fact, a lot of the mail was just reused. You would just change the length, maybe change the shape. You could turn what used to be a shirt of mail into, say, a skirt of mail if now you're wearing full plate and you don't really need that double layer, or you choose not to wear the double layer. So as I say, there is a lot of room for interpretation when it comes to that. And then again, there is a dragon, so complaining about all the details maybe is a bit much. Now, with that being said, this is a little bit of a technical analysis, mini technical analysis. What about this controversy situation? What happened? Well, what happened, let me see if I can find it, is a few things. So, first and foremost, there were some members of the LGBT community that were asking directly the developers, is this game going to have, you see, this was the question. Unfortunately, we can't see the question here, but they were asking, is this game going to have LGBTQ representation? And the answer by the developers was, we care about gaming and fun, not modern agendas. And I personally appreciate that. Now, I know what some people are going to say immediately on Reddit. And we're going to talk about this girl as well, because people got pissed because they hate everything beautiful. But I wanted to say, some people are going to be like, oh, but why Metatron? What does it hurt you if there are gays and lesbians and all of that shown onto the game? And here's the thing. It's not that I don't want people who are gay or people who are lesbian to be represented in games. What we don't appreciate is that we are getting to a point where if they are not represented, you're going to try and cancel the game, so you're forcing it. No, at that point, what I say is it's up to the developer's decision. If in their writing, in their vision, whoever they are, they want to tell a story, and in this story, they want to represent a gay man, they can do it. Now, if they put a gay man in a, for example, historically accurate medieval game, and then this gay man is celebrated, but all the other knights saying, yeah, it's fine to be gay, then it's weird because it's a historical. In the Middle Ages, gay people were persecuted. With that being said, if you've got dragons flying around, then, I mean, it's not exactly a historical game, so necessarily it's historically inspired, and if we give them a little leeway when it comes to, yeah, but there are dragons, then you can also say, yeah, but there are gays. My issue is when people want to try and push a situation where we're going to cancel you if you don't do full-on representation, every single race, transgender, gay people, and then remove white people, put all of the different whatever the heck, then we're going to have a problem. And that's why I very much appreciate this. To me, it's not a message of hatred, it's a message of freedom. It's a message of, in our vision, we don't care about modern agendas. Beautiful, splendid, and they're getting a lot of backlash now. Not only for that, but also because they introduce Amélie, one of the female characters you can form a romantic relationship with in the game, and there are people that are offended. Oh, she looks like a prawn star, they say. I thought you didn't want modern stuff. I want to show you this. In fact, there is one person that I responded to because I'm always on fire on X, and you should come and follow me if you want to see me go completely unhinged. And it was this one here. And this clown decided to say the left one is an enchanting, off-putting kind of beauty, probably from a different game, I believe. I'm not sure. I don't want to say things that I'm not sure about, so whatever. And the right one looks like a cheap prawn game. And here's the thing. The only reason why these people are saying stuff like this, it's simply because they didn't get what they wanted. They were told no, and they act like children. No, just because someone is beautiful, it doesn't. You have a prawn brain if that's what you think. It's a you problem. What I see, it's a beautiful woman, but most importantly, a character that represents, okay, but most importantly, she looks like she's straight out of a manuscript. That's what they looked like in a lot of manuscripts, with the braids or plaits if you prefer. Pretty much no makeup, because I mean, medieval women, there was a little bit in the upper classes, but it was always toned down when compared to, for instance, the classical period. And blonde is absolutely fine because that's a thing. White skin, obviously, it should be the majority. So yeah, no, they hate it, and they're trying to cancel it from any possible angle, simply because the guys said no politics in our games. Now, since I've been a fighter for the stop putting politics in my games, I fully support this studio, and I will make it my life goal now to make sure they sell 1 million copies, so they will get mentions from me, continuous, for free, on all of my channels, because enough is enough. You can get games that get your representation however the heck you want it. But if you're going to try and put it in a position where now all studios have to do it, you have to put the freaking rainbow flags and all of the other stuff that you want, or else, because it's what they're doing, calling them homophobic, they're saying boycott this game, well then I'll stand with them. I'll stand with them 1000%. So that's the situation right now with Knight's Path. But I will say, I think it's looking really good. Yeah, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Sorry. Look at this guy. Gay D Loser. Appropriate name, by the way. Don't care about modern agendas when it comes to the existence of queer people. Already the fact you're using queer, it means you want something historically inaccurate. There will be a homosexual. There will be a lesbian. There would not be LGBTQ people, because that comes with a baggage of modern expectations and they, them, and that kind of stuff, which they do try to push on, for example, Emperor Elagabalus, or Elagabalus, to say it in English. He was not transgender, it's nonsense. Now, which have been documented to exist for hundreds of years. This is the stupidest thing ever. So, if by queer people you mean the modern LGBT concept, then no, it's recent. You drop that one. But if you mean same-sex attracted people, then this is stupid as well, because they have always existed. What are you on about? Probably there were gay people in the Paleolithic. You know what I mean? So this person is actually failing. He's doing the gay cancellation, deletion that they complain about. Meanwhile, your love interest for your medieval game strictly adheres to modern beauty standards and not medieval ones. Do you even know what medieval beauty standards were? No, because this actually represented quite well. This is perfectly fine. This is perfectly fine. And you're a clown. That's what I'm going to say. You want the modern standards. And you didn't get them. And you are pissed at it because gaming companies couldn't say no. They were scared. But now finally things have been flipped around because we back them up whenever they say no. And I will. So wishlist it, guys. I'm going to put a link in the description. A Knight's Path. Thank you for standing up for no politics in games. Really appreciate that. You guys are awesome. This armor is awesome. And I hope that I'm going to like the game. But I'm buying it just to support them. Then if I also like it, that's a plus. I'll play it on the gaming channel, guys. Thank you for watching.